Welcome back to 843 TV. We're excited to be at the Beaufort County building today, and we're going to be talking with Steve Donaldson now. He is the Director of Drug and Alcohol Abuse, and this is a very important topic. You know, the holidays are here, Steve, and it's typically a joyous time, but to be quite honest, it's very lonely and can be sad and depressing for some people for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're at a part in their life where they've got families, they're not with their family, or they've experienced a loss of a loved one. And unfortunately, that might turn to the wrong direction and trying to cope. Drugs and alcohol. So
That's right.
Let's kind of talk about what you do, what resources you've got available to try to help people avoid that and get through it if they're already in a state that they need it.
Right. And I think you're right that this is the time of year for families, and not everybody, fortunately, has those kind of connections right now, and social connections really important. And so, everybody thinks that this is a happy time of year, but you're right, it's not for everyone. Some of the things that our department does is we have a prevention department that does different sort of media through the gas pumps. We got videos, we do social media. We try to get messaging out there to normalize that these feelings are normal, and that there is a lot of painful reflection, sadness, loneliness, anxiety, and depression.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I could just say that if someone turns to alcohol to try to medicate those feelings, alcohol is a depressant, and it's going to compound the depression.
Yeah, and drugs too, unfortunately.
Drugs too, that's right.
So
that's
your
right.
goal is to educate and prevent. I'm glad that you mentioned it's a prevention, so you're trying to stop that from happening in the first place. So what do you offer to folks?
So our prevention department, in addition to doing disseminating information through media, they also go to the schools. That we will, at the local business or a church, or somebody wants us to come in and to handle a particular topic, or to do team building, or any number of things as it relates to life skills or imparting this kind of information. We'll do it. We have a very robust prevention department, and they're very, very popular in Beaufort County.
I'm glad you mentioned the schools, because this is not an adult problem only. This is very real in our high schools, and unfortunately even middle schools. Maybe they lost a parent or something, and kids unfortunately are turning to those things these days to cope.
Yeah, and especially this time of year. I mean, we're at the time of year where it's the end of the year. We're accounting for or taking inventory on maybe goals that we've set. It's not just for adults. It can also be for children. And if you set your measuring stick too long, or the goals were not realistic, and you're taking inventory now on how you did and you didn't measure up, you can feel a little bit shame-based, disappointed with yourself, and so that's another thing. It's just because of again, setting unrealistic expectations of yourself. So it does happen for kids, and we also want to talk to kids about realistic goal setting for yourself. And just because you've set a goal that may be unrealistic, there's nothing wrong with when you take this inventory at this time of year to reassess, reestablish goals, and move that into the new year, and to tell them to stop beating up on yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we've got to remember that we're human and we're not perfect, we are going to not always be that way. And we're looking, I think another issue that we talked about off camera is, we're looking into the social scenes, media now, and you're seeing snapshots of things that might not be realistic, and then you're measuring yourself incorrectly with that. And that's just another problem, part of the issue.
Absolutely. And some of that depression that we talked about, how people could be feeling that at this time of year. It may not be clinical. It just may be situational. Yeah. And that whole thing, again, this time of year, a lot of people experience the holiday blues. You won't find that in a diagnostic manual, but it's a real thing.
It absolutely is a real thing.
And separation from, when you talked about social media, seeing those pictures of all the family sitting around the table, and you're by yourself because you can't afford to go home. Maybe you moved here from somewhere else, or maybe you just had some family disrupt or separation, divorce, or something like that. It's a real tough time, and it's a time to to get help, to find a way to get socially connected. And there's lots of ways to do that.
There is so much going on in our county all the time that are
Always.
community-based that you can always get involved in. So if someone is watching and they're like, I'm kind of struggling with this right now, how do they reach you? What should they do?
Well, and they don't have to just reach us, but of course I want to put a plug in for us. You can go to the county website and you can drill down on the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Department. There's a resources tab and you can see lots of different resources that might meet your need. You may not be able to get to one face-to-face, so there's others that are actually virtual that you can attend. And this is a time of year that I also need to promote the self-help community like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, especially if somebody is a substance user. They have such wisdom understanding that at this time of year for some of those folks who are in their early recovery, that they may have burned some bridges, or it may not be safe to go back and connect with the family they came from because there may be some high-risk situations there. So AA and NA have more than regular amount of meetings available. And now with that, the ability to go online and, sitting in your pajamas and do a meeting there, you can limbically connect with somebody that understands, and you don't have to be alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we want to leave with folks today is you don't have to be alone. There's help out there. And remember that you are special and unique, and everyone is wonderful in God's eyes. I'll leave it with that. Yeah. So, well, Steve, this has been an important subject. I'm glad we were able to get that out there. So if anyone is struggling, contact the department here and get some help. And we thank you all for watching 843 TV, where communities come to speak.